On today's show, we get an update on Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving's injuries. Plus, Dereck Lively II is the starting center for the Dallas Mavericks as of right now. What does that mean? What did Grant Williams say about this? And I sat down with Maxi Kleber after practice to talk to him about the Mavs trip and Dereck Lively. All that on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions. It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section, what's one thing the Mavs need to do to help Dereck Lively as the starting center? What's one thing they need to do? Let us know about that. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. Joining me, as always and forever, my co-host, writer, contributor, Mavs.com, Studio 41. The return to practice Prince, the one more thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
I want to give a shout out right off the top to Scott Scooter Tomlin.
Hey,
his last week with the Mavs. We talked about it a while back about him stepping away, and it's kind of lumped in there when we were talking about all the changes of Casey Smith and everything. But Scott's been really helpful to Nick and myself. Super good at his job, man. I mean, the job of a PR director in professional sports is a very interesting one, and worked for the Mavs, 20 plus years. And just great guy, even better guy. You hear that a lot, but it really is the truth with Scott. Even better person outside of being able to work with him and working with the media on a daily basis and convincing, or trying to get players and coaches and everybody like, dude, all right, let's do this interview. Let's do this. That can't be the most fun job in the world, but great guy last week with the Mavs, so I want to give him a shout out.
Absolutely. Great job, Scooter. And if you ever do hear this for some reason, Houday. That's right.
Also wanted to plug, I mean, if you've been listening to this for a while, you listen to this, but back, it was probably like 2 years ago at this point, we had Scott on for kind of a two-part episode. And, when the 2011 championship happens, they win the title. Dirk exits the floor. We've all seen the film of it. He
jumps over the scores table and runs to the back.
Runs back to the locker room. There are only one or two people back there, and Scott was one of them in the locker room with Dirk. And he kind of walks through that whole moment with Dirk as soon as they won the title. What is those conversation with Dirk was about and stuff. He did it on the pod, so you can go look that up. You can just search Scott Tomlin, wherever you listen to pods and all of that. But
absolutely,
Scooter.
Absolutely. And also shout out to the Texas Rangers who go up 2-0 against the Astros.
Whoa.
And the biggest accomplishment that they've done so far is they got me to watch a full baseball game.
That's impressive.
I know. This Rangers team is fun. You'll eat your heart out as you're watching their bullpen. We also have Locked On Rangers, so go listen to Locked On Rangers, Locked On Cowboys. We're recording during that game, but if they won or not, you can go listen to them too. Locked On Cowboys.
They won or not.
All right, on today's show, we're getting into Dereck Lively is the starter for the Dallas Mavericks. We'll talk about why he's the starter, because we've been on this for a while that they should, and it seems like he's going to be. And then what the Mavericks need to do. I talked to Grant Williams at practice today about what the Mavericks need to do to help Dereck Lively. He had some really interesting things to say, so we'll talk about that and hear from him. Then also, I sat down with Maxi Kleber for about 5 minutes, talked to him about the Mavs trip, talked to him about Dereck Lively, talked to him about everything. And so we'll talk to Maxi Kleber a little bit later on that. But let's start here. Luka, we got an update on his injury. Remember, he had the thigh strain and then he had the calf strain that happened to practice the day before the Real Madrid game. Jason Kidd gave an update and said they got an MRI. It was a mild calf strain. So everything that Brian Suterer says on our podcast that we did the other day, Dr. Brian, it's a sports medical physician. He talked about what a calf strain is. And this is a mild one. So everything he said, I think is true. It wasn't worse than what we thought it was. So you can go back and listen to that episode. But Luka is not going to play in the preseason game against Detroit on Friday. So we know that Luka is out for that final game. And that's what we know right now.
Yeah,
He did not participate in practice fully. He was doing some exercise bike stuff. He was there. He walked out of practice the same time everybody else did. So he was there for the full time, but he did not fully participate in practice.
He walked out, waved at all the media. Was like, "Hey, good to see you all. Love you."
Oh, you know what he did though? Grant Williams is doing his like media availability, and the way that you walk out is like you walk out to the right of where the media availability is. It's like this long hallway, and like we're kind of like in that hallway area where we do media availability. And Grant was doing his presser, and I turned around, and Luka's right behind me, and Luka like kind of snickered at Grant Williams, like, "Haha, you have to do media," and then like and then walked away.
Classic Luka.
Classic. The other one.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. I mean, it's you're not super worried about it, but it's unfortunate at the same time. I mean, you're going to talk about Kyrie probably, but it's when you look at the preseason, what you wanted in the preseason, in an ideal preseason is, all right, we want reps, right? We want reps between Kyrie and Luka. We want this duo. Everything hinges really on the level that this duo can, play together. And I think it was total of 7 minutes that Jason Kidd even, he mentioned in his presser today, or his media session today after practice, and that, that we're going to get of Kyrie and Luka together. So, or Kyrie, Luka, and Grant together. And it's not everything, but it's something that you're walking out of preseason. You only had 6 minutes of your main three players on the floor together.
You know what it is? It's par for the course, Isaac Harris. It's like a continuing small sample size with this star duo and all that. So, yeah, like you said, it's not nothing, but it also is. We haven't seen them very often, and so now we go into the season with them like kind of not getting the full preseason and training camp and everything that we hoped that they would get. They didn't get a full. Well, they got a truncated training camp because of the international trip too. So here we go again with not the full amount of time they should get. The other update was Kyrie Irving. He is, he was a full participant in practice. He was like joking around with everybody. He was in the huddle. He was doing everything, it seemed like, and he was in great spirits during that. And then he was doing some extra shooting and some extra ball handling stuff afterwards. So he looked totally fine. Jason Kidd said that, he was, full participant, and that even that with that groin soreness, that they'll see what happens. They'll keep monitoring it as they go. And then they have practice again on Tuesday, and they'll see if he's going to play on that Friday game as well. So that's where we are with Kyrie. I feel much better about where Kyrie is than where Luka is right now, if you're just looking at the two of them.
Yeah.
Dereck Lively is the starting center for the Dallas Mavericks as of right now. It seems like it. He has been for all the preseason games. Jason Kidd has not really experimented with that one. Why is he the starter, and why is this the right move, Isaac?
Well, I think you got to ask the question of why not? I think sometimes you got to ask the opposite question of saying, all right, why shouldn't he be the starter? Because when you do it that way, then your answer is what? Because another player is better than him at the position? Well, that's just, and that was my whole case all along of if this was the center, rotation crew, then you might as well just go ahead and throw him out there. Like, unless you're going to make a trade for somebody, like if they brought in a Capella or somebody like that, then yeah, that's your starting center. Like Dereck Lively's going to come off the bench. But if it's still White and Rashawn Holmes, then you go ahead and throw Lively out there. Like, there's no, what is the harm? Why not? Is it because he's going to get in foul trouble? Okay, well then just put Dwight in. Like I just think the reward is much higher than the risk on it of go ahead and getting his reps in, get him in there, get him playing with Luka, and then you can figure the stuff out. He's going to have rookie stuff. He's going to have moments where it's not going to work out. But I just think that, will Dwight Powell make less mistakes than Dereck Lively? Probably so. But you need the ceiling of Dereck Lively to hit your ceiling as a team. And right now, the gap between who is the better overall player, who makes the less mistakes and all that stuff just doesn't outweigh enough for me to start Dwight over Dereck Lively.
They also need Dereck Lively to be ready by the end of the season, right? Like, even if he's not super ready right now to play at a vet level, and Grant Williams kind of alludes to that a little bit later when I talked to him at practice today, but they need him to be ready by the end. So they need him to get these reps. They need him to get as many reps as he possibly can with this group. And they need him to, because he's the only 7 foot 7'7" wingspan, rim defending center that can actually rebound it and do all that. He's the only one on the roster with those kind of physical tools and attributes. And so they need him to be ready at that point. So to me, the only reason why you wouldn't start Dereck Lively right away is if you're worried about, well, if he's not good right away, and what if he's bad and detrimental to the team, and all of a sudden, like, it just becomes really bad, and you start to see it's basically a JaVale McGee situation from last year. Like, he's just so bad that you have to bench him, and then maybe that messes up his psyche and messes up his confidence, and then all of a sudden you have to build that back up, and that becomes a whole thing. Like, that's the only.
I would say it's kind of like the rookie quarterback thing of like,
yeah,
hey,
right.
Sometimes you just, they go ahead and start the vet knowing that they're probably going to bench him, halfway through the season for the rookie, because if you start the rookie and then you have to bench him, it's a pretty tough look. But yeah, I just think Dereck Lively's worth starting, and you got to start him right now.
And I think Dereck Lively is so much more mature and ready than I thought, but I think more than maybe the Mavericks thought too, which is why we're in this position. And we're going to hear from Grant Williams and how he sees it, because he starts next to him coming up. So we'll talk about that and hear from Grant Williams coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about BetterHelp. BetterHelp has you covered with therapy. You got to talk to somebody. There's things in your life. I'm going through a situation. Stop it. The music. I'm going through a situation right now in my life. It's serious, Isaac. That I needed to talk to somebody. I needed somebody that was unbiased. I needed somebody that wasn't for one side or the other, that wasn't a family member of one side or the other, that's going to try and take that or try to fix it right away, right? I can look at my therapist and say, hey, I don't need an answer right now. I just need to talk this out. And they're totally for it. And they'll ask the right questions and they'll do those things. Like, it's somebody that you can talk all these things through. So you absolutely should check out BetterHelp. If you have no other option to try therapy, BetterHelp is a great one. BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. Make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. Get 10% off your first month. BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Go try it out today. You can switch therapists whenever you need to. Check it out, BetterHelp today.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. That's how you become part of the Raccoon Squad. Just listen every day. If you want to support the show, text us, get text alerts from us on Mavs practice. I updated you on the Mavs injuries today. I sent updates on that. I'll answer questions. I'll do film breakdowns where I'll watch a quarter of a game, and then I'll do that with you. All kinds of stuff on Subtext. Subscribe to it. Click the link in the description or text the number on the screen and get a ding just like that on your Subtext right to your phone. Isaac with the sound effects today. You're killing me with the sound effects today. Did you get a soundboard over the weekend?
I did.
He's playing music. He's playing dings. It's all over the place. All right. At practice today, I asked Grant Williams a couple questions specifically about Dereck Lively, about starting with Dereck Lively and what the Mavericks need to do to help him along. And I was curious what he had to say about that, what his perspective was. He always has a really interesting perspective. This is what he had to say. A couple of games next to Dereck Lively now. What kind of support does he need? What kind of things are you learning that help him on the court?
Yeah, I think he's doing a phenomenal job. Lively is young. He's a rookie. So there's going to be times where he'll make a mistake or he'll be out of positioning. But that's our job as vets to have his back, Having him on the court allows us to have a vertical presence that not many people can offer. And his ability to impact shots at the rim and also pace of play and running up the floor really helps us. So in order for us to be really successful, we need him to take a big leap and continue his development that he's on pace with. Because, we're going to continue to challenge him. We're going to try to hold him to a high standard. But in order for us to be the best team possible, we need him to not be a rookie. We need him to learn how to be a vet in a matter of a short amount of time. So I think we have belief in him. We have to keep, as vets, continue to talk to him because he's a great receptive listener. And we just have to make sure he stays humble along the way as well.
What are the things you've seen so far that show that he's not a rookie or that he can get to that point at some point?
Yeah, there's definitely the physicality, I feel like that first game we played Gobert, you could tell he was a rookie. You could tell that there was a little bit of a difference. And that following game, when he got a chance to play him again, it was a different story. And he played with even more physicality. We got more on the rebounding end. He plays with great, tremendous energy. So that's something we don't have to ask from him, but we have to ask for the mental growth from him, whether it's watching film, whether it's actually walking on the court and just walking through and training the mental side of his body. That's going to be the biggest development for him. And I think that he has the ability to do it, and we're going to challenge him to do it because, like, as we said, we need it.
That last part's the one that stands out to me. We need him. Like, the team. This is the starting four. This is part of the big group. This is Grant Williams saying we need him to be that. That to me really stood out.
Yeah, the we need him part, and then the part, after the first question you asked of, we need him to be a vet now. Like, he's got to grow up now. And, I think that's the moment that, I don't know if they've just, decided on it or any of that, but like, they haven't made the trade, for a big, or they've tried unsuccessful and all that. So right now he's the starter, and they're like, hey, if this is the plan moving forward, then we have high aspirations at a team. So you got to grow up quick, and there is no honeymoon phase for him. And I love the owning aspect on it for Grant of like, hey, for us and the vets, it's on us to pick him up and to teach him when these moments happen. But it's also the just the expectations for him right now, and him pointing out his rim presence and the verticality stuff. He's like, they don't make them like that. Like we don't, basically they don't have that on the roster. And that's the thing in the preseason that I feel like you've noticed the most is how much stuff he alters in the paint.
It was not lost on me that Grant Williams said we as vets, and maybe we can talk about that in a second. But though we need him to be a rookie right away, and they need him because he represents, we've said this all summer, he represents a style of player and a type of player they just don't have on the roster, and they desperately need a rim protector like that. And honestly, he's stepping up to it. Like Grant Williams and all of them, every player, every coach has said, hey, he's stepping up to this opportunity. He's stepping up to the plate on this. They're doing the extra work. They've been in since August, trying to get better. And he's taken a big leap. And Grant said he's taking an even bigger leap, and they keep, giving him more and all that. And they just need him to be not a rookie right away and be a vet. And I think that all is so fascinating from a team perspective. Like, all right, we need this guy. We need this rookie right away, because usually we'll bring the rookie along slowly. We just haven't seen this from the Mavericks very recently.
Yeah, and I think you sent over some notes before the show, and you're like, what do the Mavs need to do to make sure he works? Yeah. I think they're doing a pretty good amount of stuff that, like, on a perfect piece of paper. If I said, hey, the Mavericks, if we go back to last summer and we say the Mavericks are going to draft a big man to be their starting center of the future, and he's going to start from day one, what would your ideal checklist of things that you would want them to have for him in place to make him the best and make sure it works out? Like, there are things that the Mavericks have done. Like, I would want a mentor that's been there, done that, played the position and all of that. Well, I mean, Tyson Chandler's been around the team. Everybody with a mic he
was there today.
That. The next thing, I would want somebody who has experience coaching some of the other best players. One of my favorite things in one of my favorite guests, one of my favorite people in the league, Melvin Hunt, old assistant coach for the Mavericks. One of my favorite things to talk to Melvin about was all the stars that he had spent time coaching. I mean, from Kobe to LeBron, USA. I mean, all this different stuff that Melvin has coached with in players. So I think that's where if we're going down the checklist, man, an assistant coach who has coached some of the best bigs in the league. Well, dang, you brought in Alex Jensen, a guy who coached literally Rudy Gobert in Utah, one of the best assistant coaches in the league, has coached another big in Rudy. So, and then you could continue going down. It's like, all right, now you're going to have vets in the lineup around him. That's why it's like, if Dereck Lively, which Omax has already been, kind of replaced in the starting lineup, we know that, and all that lasted one game, but it's like, I wouldn't want Omax to, I wouldn't want Omax to start next to him, because I think you need all the vets you can around him and next to him and stuff. So if we're going down through the checklist, I'm like, dang, they've really checked off a lot of the boxes for if you're gonna draft a guy and to start from day one at your center position, and you're gonna be a good team, because that's different. Like, Spurs are probably gonna suck. So like to be like that's kind of a very unique spot, and I think they're doing a lot of stuff to make it work.
Yeah, it's the Mavs and the Thunder doing the same thing, starting as a rookie center, and one of them was much higher drafted with Chet Holmgren, but still they're kind of doing the same thing, both trying to be good, both starting these rookie centers, and it'll be interesting to see how that works. The other thing I think is the preparation. They're not just throwing him. I don't think they're just throwing him into this, especially considering like what Josh Green's rookie season looked like. Imagine if it was that shortened off season and all that. He went through, the whole draft process, summer league. He came after summer league, which is in July. He comes in August to the Mavs facility. He's been working there in the Mavs facility, works with Tyson Chandler, like you said. Then he goes to this, then he has training camp, then he has preseason, and now they have these extra practices that they're doing before they actually play the last preseason game because they went on this international trip. Like that's kind of a benefit. They get some more practices in that way. They're doing one. They did one Monday. They'll do one Tuesday. We'll see however many more they do this week. And so now he's got some extra preparation time going through it. And also he's got a pretty easy guy to work with in Luka that'll make it easy for him on offense. He doesn't have to do a ton on offense. They know exactly. The other thing is they know exactly what his role is going to be. He's put in these limits where Chet Holmgren probably is going to be asked to do a bunch of different things because he can do a bunch of different things, right? Like he's supposed to be a star player. He's supposed to be, top 2 pick or whatever. Dereck Lively, they want him to do these things. Stay in this box, defend the rim, get rebounds, lobs, catch lobs, do that. And then eventually maybe step out to hit a 3. And they're not even asking him to do that yet. So they've defined the role. He's got the preparation. He's got the people around him. Like they've set this up so well for him to do this. And I asked Maxi Kleber about him. I sat down with Maxi Kleber for about 5 minutes and I was asking him about Dereck Lively and his preparation. And then I was asking him about the trip. And I was just curious from a veteran what that trip was like. And so coming up, let's hear from Maxi Kleber and let's hear what he had to say about all of this. But before we do, let me tell you about Game Time. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm looking right now at Game Time, and I'm looking at these Rangers tickets because Game 3 is going to be wild.
You're thinking about it.
Game 3. I'm really. If Josh Stack, if you're listening right now, text me because I'm fascinated to go to this Rangers game and see. They have tickets. There are going to be tickets available.
How many players do you know on the Rangers?
After these last 2 games that I've watched, I know a decent amount now.
Like 6.
I know Nathan Eovaldi. That dude deals.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that dude was so good. So anyway, Game Time is the place to do it because if you go on Game Time, you can get cheaper tickets later, so you can wait and you can get the last minute tickets like that. They also show you the view from your seat. You can do all that kind of stuff. And if you've never used Game Time before, you can use the code LOCKEDONNBA, one word, LOCKEDONNBA, get $20 off with that code. Locked On NBA. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem your code, $20 off. Download the app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Isaac Harris. So, went to Mavs practice today. By the way, there were some legends at Mavs practice today. The usual suspects, your Tyson Chandlers, your Jason Kidds, those guys were there, obviously. Today, Rolando Blackman was there.
Ooh, legend.
I was wearing a new jacket I got this weekend. Rolando Blackman walked by me, grabbed the jacket, tugged on it, and was like, ooh, and then walked by. Made me feel the greatest I've ever felt in a really long time.
Was it a Mavericks jacket?
I got that confidence, baby confidence. No, it was it's like a corduroy, like a tan beige kind of thing. It's nice.
Oh, okay.
And then Sean Marion was there, Matrix. He was at practice today as well as Nancy Lieberman, the legend. She used to be a WNBA legendary player, and then she was the assistant coach for the Kings. I think she was the first female assistant, was an assistant. And then she now works with the Wings and does all that kind of stuff. So there's some legends today at practice. It was great. Another player I talked to today was Maxi Kleber. Let's hear from Maxi Kleber on his thoughts on the Mavericks' recent international trip, on Dereck Lively, and all kinds of stuff. Here, Maxi Kleber.
Talk to me about the trip you guys just took. It was the longest international preseason trip that a team has taken. Did it feel like that?
I definitely felt like that. It was a great experience. We got a lot to see, but it was also very exhausting. I think on the one hand, it helped us really building team chemistry. On the other side, we had a little bit lack of practice because of the travel itinerary. So we got to make up for it now. But I think overall it was a good experience, good to bond as a team, and a lot of fun.
Where did you feel the length of the trip? Was there a certain point where you're like, I'm annoyed with the guys around me?
No, I feel like the first days were the toughest ones, adjusting to jet lag because we got in late and then not really going to sleep right away. So I think that was the hardest part. We have a great group of guys, so there's not really a time where you say, like, oh, I have enough of them. Like, you can always hang around. They're very easygoing, plus you can do your own thing as well. It was not like that. It was just overall the schedule was exhausting and what made it tough, but being around the guys was a great experience.
Do you ever get over that jet lag of going back and forth? Because how many times have you gone back and forth from Europe to here and back?
I don't know. It really depends on the travel, I guess. Yeah. And not every time is the same. But, you try to make the best of it.
Yeah. A lot of people talk about the chemistry of a trip like that. What did you guys do? Was there any bonding moments? Was there pranks on the plane? Was there anything that you guys had that you felt was a good bonding?
I think the plane ride was more quiet, but, we had team dinners and we did some sightseeing stuff as a group together. So there was definitely a lot of time where we can bond as a team and have a good time.
Who's the loudest at a team dinner? Who do you want to sit next to? Like, who's
I don't know, not the loudest, but he likes to talk a lot. Is Grant. He has a lot of things to say, so I'll sit next to him so I can listen or kind of argue.
What's the vibe difference between the end of last season? I know it's coming into a new season. What's the vibe difference with all the new guys and everything now?
I mean, first of all, we have a lot of new young guys too. So the vibe overall is great, right? Last year was obviously a tough finish and not how we expected it to be. So coming into the new season, we have a lot of expectations and a lot of hope. And that's the approach that we have. We know we have a great group of guys. Now we just got to find the lineups together on the court, communicate, figure out how to play with each other. We have a lot of young talent that came in, super skilled. It's a lot of fun because they go hard, they play hard, and therefore like the team ambiance is really good.
Dereck Lively is probably going to be starting at this point. How can you support him? How has it been playing with him? Like, what can you do with him on the floor defensively to help him?
Just
get over that.
I mean, playing with Kyrie and Luka out there, you just got to make sure you're in the right spot because they will find you. And he's a great rim threat. He's very athletic, very tall. So he already is naturally so gifted, and he does a lot of things, even tactic-wise, perfect. And then it's just the small details, adjustments to opponents. Maybe like our own schemes that he has to learn a little bit because it's going to be different from college. But you can always help with the positioning and where to be, and then also like figure out communication part where he has to figure out how to play with Luka and how to play with Kyrie, two different players in their pick and rolls. But he's been doing a really great job, and he's going to help us a lot.
He doesn't feel like he's 19. When I talked to him, it was just like, man,
he's a grown man.
Yeah, it felt like it. But he's been a lot like through his life and everything too. So he felt like he's been through a ton. College is a different experience with NIL and all that. It feels like they mature coming in.
Yeah, no, he's very mature. He has a good work ethic. He works a lot with our assistant coaches before and after, trying to do the right thing all the time. And I think that will really help him to make it in this league and become really good. And like I said, he's already shown how big of a rim threat he is, how he can protect the paint on the other side. And now it's the only part that we have to work out is like how all puzzle pieces come together on the court.
Right. Defensively, what's the thing you guys can do to get better? Because your defense seems to be all predicated on rotations, effort, making sure you're in the right spot.
Yeah.
What can you do this year to be better?
I think the one thing that everybody has to bring is just effort, because mistakes are going to happen in the league. The offense is too good to not make mistakes. But, when there's a mistake happening, we have to not crack down, but continue playing and help each other unite. It might be a call, maybe a wrong call. We get beat, but we can't just stop playing. We got to help each other out and just make effort plays.
Has anybody kind of emerged as a leader on the team so far, defensively or otherwise?
We have we have Kai and Luka obviously, and then Grant, who's been a big voice and doing a great job of leading the team.
There you go. There's Maxi Kleber at practice, loud practice, and then it got real quiet, and then it got loud, and then it got loud again. The thing that stood out to me about Dereck Lively is when he talked about how mature he was and how he came in and everybody kind of has to help make sure that he's right. But then I asked him about the defense, and the defense is all predicated on their effort, their rotations, being in the right spot. I mean, he agreed with that. And then like to have a rookie in that spot, it kind of makes it a little harder because there's going to be a learning curve there of him to learn that scheme like he talked about.
Yeah, I think that was my takeaway with Lively. Same as yours is when you play with Luka and Kyrie, you got to know your spots. And for him, he's like, hey, he's got to stand in the corner, right? And at some point, he's got to move out to the wing there. But because they always know Luka especially works like a tactician out there, a quarterback of like, hey, be in your spots because when I'm doing my crazy stuff, I'm gonna sling it over to a corner and you better be there. And for Lively, he just got to learn those little things. And it's cool hearing Maxi, talk about some of the techniques and stuff that he already has like down. It's just a matter of like learning their system and all of that. That's encouraging.
Yeah, Maxi is going to say the right things. I tried to like make him break down or like try to like say anything that happened with the team, but he's always going to say the right things. But the things that stood out to me in that was that Lively is mature and that Lively already has the skills. Like already has the skills coming in. He's talked about them being very skilled, the work ethic. He's working on it. Like he's doing all the right things. And I think that for somebody like Maxi, who Lively's kind of taking his spot, sort of like he could make a bid for the starting center spot, right? Like that could be his spot, but instead he's pushing Lively forward. He's helping Lively get to that spot. And yeah, I think that this whole thing is pushing towards Dereck Lively being that guy. And man, if you think about us having this conversation back when we were doing like our draft profile of him or even back on draft night, like, wow, we're here, man. And he's been elevated to be that guy.
And there's still an unknown. Like we're excited to see a rookie like start and like, hey, let's just go ahead and give it to the young guy. Like I think he should start with this current center group. Like been adamant about that. That doesn't mean that he's going to win Rookie of the Year. There's going to be times where it's tough. Like he gets fouls super quick. And you're like, dang it. All right. Like he looks like a rookie out there. He gets overpowered by another guy. Like I just think that for Lively season, you almost got to zoom out a little bit and be like, all right, what's the overall picture? As long as it's not like, killing the team from going to the playoff. Like, what's the overall picture for Dereck Lively this year to grow as a player? Because there's going to be some tough moments. Like that's just inevitable. But I think with this current collection, then this is the best option of going ahead and throwing your lottery pick out there.
And they're doing it. They're doing it. And the Mavericks seem like they're doing all the right things to make sure that it works because they're supporting him. Everybody around him is supporting him. You heard from Grant Williams. You heard from Maxi Kleber. They're all supporting him at this point, and that Dereck Lively seems to be ready for this moment. And we'll continue to monitor it on Locked On Mavs. We'll talk about it all throughout the season. Both of us, the entire season, every game.
Yeah, we will. We'll both talk about it the entire season.
That's very true. Yeah, maybe not here, but we'll both talk about it. There you go. Any more? The other thought from Maxi is anytime you ask anybody who's like the loudest or who talks the most on the team, it's Grant Williams. Just always that his reputation precedes him like completely.
Yes, 100%. I have some Jason Kidd takeaways that maybe we can talk about tomorrow. I'll say this. I'll say this last one real quick. He was asked about Dante.
Wait. Hold on. I might not get many more of these. Say that.
Hey, one more thing.
Next time, don't wait till it's 3 seconds left to talk.
Jason Kidd was asked about Dante Exum, and he was asked what position is he, and Jason Kidd, classic. He's a basketball player. But then this was my favorite one that we might need to clip. He says there are no positions. He can play all the positions except the 5.
I mean, in the Mavs system, in fairness, he's right.
I thought there were no positions, though. You just referenced the 5.
Hold on.
I don't always tell you guys the truth. I have to apologize that you felt that he should have played more. I'm not playing. I'm watching, just like you guys.
That earned the trifecta right there.
So anyway, great. He did reference Dexter and Greg being the two-way guys. So, which we haven't really talked about who got waived and all that stuff.
Right, yeah. Yeah, Taze Moore has been brought in, Greg Brown, Dexter Dennis. They AJ Lawson's still a two-way guy, so we'll see how that all shakes out at the end here. But yeah, there you go. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.